When I think of Roy Sterling, I think of three main things basically. The first being illusion. He was a master of illusion, as we all know. The second being his uncanny ability to channel the ancient mystics. I don't quite understand it. The third, of course, is his mustache.
He grew up in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That I do know.
Roy Sterling was born in 1953, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
First time I saw Roy Sterling was in Atlantic City, New Jersey. His act was a little rough around the edges then, but I knew. I said, you know what? This kid's got talent.
He was always a little different, but it didn't make any difference to us.
Growing up in Atlantic City, there was tons of, great, huge acts came out of Atlantic City.
At the time when Roy was about 9, there was a magician that was pretty popular named the Amazing Ridiculo.
Yeah, I always knew that someday I'd be great, and Ridiculo saw that in me. He saw that in me when I was very young.
And this Ridiculo was a master illusionist. Roy was really taken by him.
I immediately, I went to the library. I rented every book on magic and illusion.
Roy wanted to do this. He wanted to have these powers and be able to lead this kind of a life.
About 6 months, I'd say, I'd been studying. And I thought, it's time to bring this act to the streets.
He went on a tour of the Eastern Seaboard, and it was in a little town called Kennesaw Mountain, Georgia, that he hooked up with Gentleman Janet.
And then I looked up, and there's this one fellow there, and he's clapping. And, he comes over to me, and it's Janet.
I'm handing someone a tangerine snow cone, and all of a sudden I look over, and there's this man. He was doing what I had come later to know as magic tricks. He had like a tabby cat, and it was playing a piano, and he had what looked like a dinosaur, but somebody told me it was a turtle.
Guys saw him, was impressed with him, and had a real theatrical flair.
He had a drama background. He had done some plays, some local plays. And I was like, well, this sounds like a team-up opportunity.
Toured up and down the Eastern Seaboard. He started to gain more experience. He was a little more panache in his act. And he was noticed. And he was noticed by a manager, small-time guy named Hyman Mankiewicz.
I went up to him and I said, listen, kid, you got talent. You're gonna go places. You come with me. You lose the Fruit Loop. You gotta come to New York City because that's where the dreams come true. You heard Frank.
He was interested in my act. He thought that my act showed a lot of promise. And I said, I don't disagree with you. My act does show a lot of promise.
The first thing that he did was get Roy into the little clubs around New York, and more people started to see him, and then zap, straight to Broadway.
The ancients are filling me up with so much knowledge of the past and so much knowledge of illusion that I channel them, and I'm able to mystify audiences. I mean, it's proven.
I mean, he felt that it wasn't only him up on that stage, that when he was able to channel the ancients, that some force beyond himself was working through him.
And I just started to watch Roy just sort of slip into a neither world of fantasy.
It takes a lot out of you when you channel. And I'm using that to mystify thousands.
He says he can channel mysticals. I'm not quite sure what that means.
The audiences out here, they love it. They're not like American audiences, They want to pay their money, they want to pay their 65 yen, and they want to be dazzled.
He performed at the Budokan, and in Japan, he met the woman who would change his life. Her name was Yuki.
Yes, she can't speak English, but I can't speak Japanese. So
나 Japanese 아니야.
yeah, I can't speak
아니라고
Japanese.
했잖아요.
But we have this connection.
Yuki was bad for Roy, and she was bad for Roy when they were together, but worse when she left him.
Well, my future with Yuki, it's set in stone. We're in love.
She was beautiful, but she was heartless, and she left him.
It's still a little bit, it's still kind of difficult for me to talk about. I'm not sure where it went wrong, but you know, eventually I think it was the language barrier.
This is me. I'm used.
You know, I guess she'd had enough. She took him for what he was worth. She left him. I tell you, this guy really got into a severe depression. He already had taste of the high life, but this was much worse than that.
I just came up with my greatest illusion. But at the time, you know, I was out of control. You know, I had lost the love of my life. Yuki, I had lost her. She had left me. Because of that, I think my illusions became very, you know, anger-driven. I wanted to do these huge things, these huge feats.
And then what I would do is I would slide down the pyramid into quicksand. I would go under, I'd be buried in the quicksand under the lions and the cobras.
I remember seeing him at a party. He was just looking a little bloated, looking a little, you know, a little hopped up on a little something.
You know, I'm going up and I'm going down and I'm whipping around corners, but you know what? I'm always going to turn up back on top, and I'm always going to get off the ride at the end of the night, and I'm always going to go home, and I'm always going to have, you know, a next day.
Well, I'll tell you this about Roy Sterling. Roy might be down in the gutter right now eating juji fruit and smelling like yesterday's news.
But I'm coming back, okay? And I've got a whole barrel of tricks up my sleeve, okay? I'm gonna dazzle them. I'm gonna knock them dead. Did I tell you about my latest illusion?
I'm gonna tie a tightrope from the top of the Chrysler Building to the top of the Empire State Building. Only seconds after being buried in the carcass of a blue whale. We're gonna make a triangle between the pyramids. We're gonna fill it with tigers. Do a trick in New York, transport myself to Vegas, transport myself back.
A parade of, you know, over 400 boy Sterlings, and we're gonna march our way right up to Times Square.
Every monkey in the Amazon River Basin disappear.
I'm gonna make Vancouver and all the major cities of Canada appear on the moon, the lunar surface.
Chilean mountains.
Bring back Benjamin Franklin.
Come up right next to the moon and just like wink, and then that's it.
Zimzalabim. Illusion. I could probably, you know, send you a channel right through the television set.
I appeared above cobras!